Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Outgrow's Marketer of the Month. I'm your host, Dr. Saksham Sharda. I'm the creative director at Outgrow.co. And for this month, we're going to interview Benoit Menardo, who's the co-founder of PayFlow. Thanks for joining us, Benoit.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure to be here.
So, Benoit, we're going to start with a rapid fire round just to break the ice. You get 3 passes. In case you don't want to answer the question, you can just say pass, but try to keep your answers to one word or one sentence only, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So the first one is, at what age do you want to retire?
100 years.
How long does it take you to get ready in the mornings?
10 minutes.
Most embarrassing moment of your life?
I was during prep school, before university. When after the second year, I couldn't make it to the school I wanted to, so I had to repeat and do one more year.
Favorite color?
Blue.
What time of day are you most inspired?
Morning, like before 10.
How many hours of sleep can you survive on?
2, 3.
Fill in the blank. An upcoming technology trend is blank.
Salary on demand.
The city in which the best kiss of your life happened?
Geneva.
Pick one, Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk.
Zuckerberg.
The biggest mistake of your career?
I would say not starting a startup early enough.
How do you relax?
Spending time with my wife.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
0.
A habit of yours that you hate?
I don't do sports.
The most valuable skill you've learned in life?
How to talk to different type of people and build rapport.
Your favorite Netflix show?
I don't know if it's on Netflix, but I liked a lot the startup one. So like the Dropout was really good, Super Pumped was really good, and the Spotify one were really good.
Okay. One word description of your leadership style?
I would say empathetic.
Top priority in your daily schedule?
Get the 3 most important thing done.
Key factor for maintaining work-life balance?
I would say know your limits.
Memorable career milestone?
First fundraising round of PayFlow.
All right. Well, that's the end of the rapid fire. Now we can go on to the longer questions, which you can answer with as much ease and time as you like. The first one is, can you provide a brief overview of PayFlow and its mission in the financial technology space?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, PayFlow is a mobile app that allows people to get paid whenever they want, right? And we sell as an employee benefit to companies in Latin America and Southern Europe. So in a very, very simple words, it means that if it's the 10th of the month and you've worked for 9 days and a couple of hours, as an employee, you can withdraw that money for free, right? The advantage of that is obviously that you're going to be more sticky to your company, and that's why the company is ready to pay for it, right? So this is live in Colombia, Peru, Spain, and Portugal. If you think about it, like we're a competitor and an alternative to, for instance, microloans, payday lending, credit cards, like all the financial institutions charging very high interest rates, basically are our indirect competitors.
And so what is the mission in general for the future? What do you envisage for the company?
Yeah, right. So it's allowing people to access what is theirs, right? So basically, like we fundamentally believe that kind of like it makes no sense to have those inflows and outflows during a month, right? So like it's We want to make people more responsible, and we want to help them better manage their personal finances. And the general mission is to help them be in control of 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 their money, of what is there, right? So it's never a loan, it's never an advance. It's always what is already yours. You can have it, you can access it. So that's really kind of like what we want. It's a concept, and it's a mission that already has been achieved in some economies, right? So for instance, the gig economy, if you look at it, like for an Uber driver, every time the person drives, they get paid, right? So it's not that the person has been taking an advance on the future rides. No, it's like it's been like they've been driving and then they get paid for it, right? So we want to kind of like use that on any type of job.
Hmm. And is there any specific success story or impact that PayFlow has had that you'd like to highlight for financial well-being of individuals or
Yeah,
companies that are using your platform?
for sure. I mean, like not so long ago, I was in our Colombian office, and I realized that the on the street you had someone that was giving what's called the gota gota, which is basically like a kind of a short-term loan, and the percentage of interest was 1% daily, right? And that's why
Mm.
the daily is the important part, right? Which when you compound it, it's like 3,200% per year, right? It's more than 3,000% interest. So obviously, when you're an employee and you have to use that because you need $10, you're not going to notice it. But actually, this is what makes your life impossible, and that's why the system prevents you from kind of like growing and be better financially free, right? And that's why, like, when we're providing that service to our users, they're saying that basically they had no other options. Like they were to work, they had to fill the tank, and they have no money, right? And their choice is 1% daily, or it's like expensive micro loans, or any other solution, right? So this is the value we're bringing in, and obviously we hear stories of people that say that we literally saved their lives, right? Which is, I mean, looks a bit too much, but it's what some of employees say, right? So it's really good to feel that you're providing them with a fair and solution that no one can give, because they are a very high risk population, right? So like they don't have any guarantees. They have changed 3 times jobs in the last year. Like they make very little amount. So it's if you're a bank and you want to give them a loan, you will have to charge them 1,000% interest. And it's not because you're a bad person, it's because you have a pricing algorithm and this person is extremely risky. So we're doing it because we're working with a very low risk repayer, right? But with a very high risk user, right? So which is where the value is created.
Hmm. And so you guys recently won funding of 20 million euros from BBVA Spark. Can you share how this funding will contribute to what you're currently doing, as you're saying, in your
Yeah,
growth in Europe
definitely.
and Latin America?
No, definitely. So as you understood, basically we're providing the liquidity to the employees, right? So at a given month, we need to have this capital in order to fuel our growth. So you have two parts in funding, right? You have the equity part and the debt part. This one is the debt part, right? The equity part is what allows us to hire developers and improve our product. The debt part is what allows us, with the same product, to have more clients and serve bigger areas, more companies, and higher volumes, right? So this round is going to be used for the second part, and the facility is live since Q4 last year, and it's basically allowed us to free up a lot of capacity and to basically better manage our growth. And basically today we can grow 10x, and we don't have to think about debt anymore, simply because we have the facility already created.
And we heard that you also were recognized or endorsed by notable figures like President Macron. Uh, how has this influenced your journey in addition to the funding, and what kind of support have you received from influential leaders?
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I mean, at the end of the day, most of the recognitions are not uh, let's say they don't impact our sales, right? They are not going to be bringing clients. They're not going to be, it's not like some French governmental companies are going to start using PayFlow. No, it's very indirect. So at the end of the day, we're not like seeking any type of those recognitions. They come because, I mean, we're just doing our job. When they happen, it's often a great it's a great recognition for the whole team, because like you can tell the team that they're doing great, but when you have people that are really influential that can tell them this, like it really gives them a lot of motivation, and it helps them believe that what they're doing is really changing the world, right? So I mean, I would say this is the main value versus the value that will be more, let's say, commercial traction based, which is not the case when you're recognized typically by like whatever leaders and more yeah figures.
So, if this model is rapidly adopted, do you think there are any potential challenges or concerns related to the implementation of earned wage access in different cultural and regulatory environments?
Yeah, I think it's a great point. What we're seeing is that the original earned wage access model, which is basically the employee pays for accessing their salary. This one is slowly dying, right? And this is because of a higher penetration and a better awareness of the product, right? It's the same idea as like when like at the beginning you were going from one bank account to another one, and making a transfer was very expensive, or calling from one mobile carrier to another one was very expensive, but if you call the same one, it's very cheap, or withdrawing at an ATM, right? So these are signals of like early markets. And then when the market kind of goes much more mature, this is where kind of the you start to see what is going to be the long-term model. And in our case, the long-term model that complies with regulation and that complies with basically like what the user wants is that the employee is empowered, the employee does not pay for the service, and the company provides this at a cost for them, right? And that's what we're seeing. That is like an impact of how much how fast this has grown, right? Um, I think the other point which is quite important for us is that we heavily rely on payroll in order to operate, because we need to calculate uh, instantly the money that people are owed. And when someone makes a withdrawal, we need to instantly write in a payroll provider, right? This, as easy as it sounds, seems really, really complex in reality, right? And so this is something that has been a challenge for most players in most countries, and that is going better over time because payroll providers understand how critical it is to open the data to employees that are willing to share it, and in order to provide services, right? So this is something that is fairly new, and you have a lot of models around it.
And are companies easily able to share this data with you, or what safeguards are there?
No, of course. So it's the data of the employee, right? So the
Hmm.
employee is the one deciding to use the service. If the employee doesn't use the service, then Payflow doesn't use their data. This is obvious, right? So like but if the employee wants to use the service, then obviously the employee needs to say to us in what account we should send the money, and they should allow us to read how much money they've earned. Otherwise, we can't provide them a service. This is obvious. So like so it's always something that kind of the employee must be willing to do, and it's not kind of like the company cannot force the employee to get paid that way. Obviously, it's a benefit.
I see. And so, what does your typical day at Payflow look like? You wake up in the morning and then.
And then I'm on meetings the whole day. No, I mean it varies a lot, because so first of all it varies because it's cyclical, and because I take our fundraising, it's going to depend if we're fundraising or not. Uh, and in fundraising season, it's like very intense, and in others is less. And it also depends a lot on the stage of the company. So you see, like the company is 3.5, roughly 4 years old. The first year, my co-founder and myself, we were doing pretty much everything. I mean, we designed the first screens, we called the first users, we did everything. And right now, basically, like when the company grows, like now we're 70 people on the team, you start to hire people to lead their departments, and the organization is being created, right? So that's why this also massively depends. And so right now, um, like what I'm doing mostly is obviously talking to investors, talking to the team. Recruiting is a big part of my time, and also think about the overall vision and the strategy, right? And so that's yeah.
I see. And what kind of hiring are you still doing? Are you doing some hiring still? Are you looking for talent in the market?
So I mean, we do a lot of opportunistic hiring. Um, we have all our positions that are kind of like uh, critical to fill. They are published. I would say that it's mostly on the roles that directly create traction. So would be basically sales, would be a lot of technical hiring, and also selectively operations, finance, depending on how faster grows the business. Which basically, if you have more sales, then you close more clients, then you need to onboard them, then you need to make sure that you have a finance team that manages that, and you may need to make sure that your product is scalable enough, so you're going to be able to cross sell and upsell them more products. So this would be the
Okay,
departments.
I see. And so you recently also attended the World Economic Forum in Davos. What were the key takeaways and insights from the event, especially regarding energy transition, AI, and blockchain?
Yeah, this is quite interesting. So it was the first time I attended Davos. So I didn't really know what to expect, and especially as a startup, and like it's not really an event for startups, right? So like it's like I attend quite a few of the Web Summit, South Summit, 4 years from now type of events. But it was the first time I went there. I think that um, overall it's an event that is very representative of the big trends that you and I can read in most of the newspapers. Most of the sessions there were indeed about AI. Like AI was the main protagonist there. Like everyone was talking about it. Blockchain a bit less, but I've heard that last year was still like very very popular, and like so it's a good representation of what you can read online. I mean, for our business it's still quite far from what is like a tangible. I mean, it doesn't really bring tangible value to the business. It's not like I met HR leaders in Colombia, Peru, Spain, or Portugal there, right? But it's still really good because it opens your mind on new trends and on new categories, right? The thing that I felt there on the main on, for instance, AI, is that it's you have lots of projects, very similar to actually blockchain when people started to look at it in deeply, and when you had the whole NFT friendly and all of that. So like I felt that you have a good technology, a really, really powerful technology, which is the same as the blockchain technology. It's a really powerful technology. Unfortunately, there's been too many projects. There's been too much of a gold rush. And then you have basically 10% of really good projects that really bring value and that are really applicable, and 90% of scam, right? So like it's and that's fine, or scam, or projects that do not really create something, that more kind of like are using infrastructure or using technology that is of others, right? And so you see, for me here, the real question is like, who are these 10%, right? And like what exactly is going to be applicable, and what is going to be like the same as now, right? And it's exactly, for me, very very similar dynamics as what you have with blockchain. Like blockchain is not going to completely change the world. It's not true. It's going to have very good impact on a few verticals that will completely change, and that without blockchain it would not be possible to do as good and as fast these operations, right? But it's not true that it's applicable to everything. For me, that's the long story short.
And are there any takeaways from Davos that you plan to implement in PayFlow?
I mean, little because again, it's very high level, and it's really about macroeconomy, and it's really about kind of like also markets that we're not really of interest. I mean, you see, it's still very focused into the US, and very like it's. I mean, it's not really focused in Latin America. It's not really focused in Southern Europe. So most of the macroeconomic takeaways are not really applicable to us, I would say, right? Like it's more about kind of like general trends, and kind of like see if there is anything that is going to impact how our end users are going to see, are going to feel. And then basically, if it's something that is really a global trend, then it's going to impact us, but it's very, very indirect.
Hmm. And so PayFlow, we heard, was a finalist at VBIT Capital Scale Up competition. How does such recognition and participation in competitions contribute to PayFlow's visibility and growth?
Yeah. So this was a great opportunity, to be honest, because like, I mean, we had like 5,000 people competing, right? And then we first got into the semifinalists, and we went to Dubai for the cup, and there we had quite a lot of exposure. And then after managed to be the finalist, and basically out of the 12 that receive investment or can receive investment from the fund. Um, it's great, to be honest. Like, it's great because you get access to potential investors and people that you would not get access overall. So this visibility is like a tangible benefit of going into such type of events, is because the investors you will meet there, like, you're not gonna outreach them on LinkedIn, basically, right? So like, it's this is why, like, it's powerful. It's the result of a lot of work. It's, again, just like other type of recognition, confirms to the team, really good for also hiring. I mean, people want to go to startups that are the best, and that have been winning. But I would say that also for us as a company, it has a real benefit of connecting us with really, really important investors.
And are there any other competitions that you're planning to go to or you've gone to?
So I mean, we won the 4 years from now competition in Barcelona last year, and then we won the as well South Summit competition in Madrid 2 years ago. So like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're applying to a few of them, and sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win, right? So but it's important to do it, because you get. First of all, the applications are allow you to think about your business, because they're very complete. They ask you tons of things about all the different parts of your business. So this kind of allows you to do that self reflection. And also, when you prepare, when you present, this is a really a great opportunity, right? So on top of that visibility, that preparation, that at the end of the day, it's not so different when you're pitching to an investor, but it's a lot. The level of preparation you need to get to pitch in front of 500,000 people, like, it's really high. So it's really positive for the company to have that level of depth of understanding of your business.
And so, having participated in all these competitions and won a few of them, what emerging trends do you foresee in the fintech industry in general? And how does PayFlow position itself to stay at the forefront
Yeah. So,
of these
okay.
trends? Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So I'll try to go for trends that apply to us directly. I think the first one is regarding APIs, and kind of like moving most of the data to the cloud. So this is something that obviously has started like much before PayFlow started, but it has different level of adoption. And I think for our markets, we're still at the beginning of that adoption curve. It changes everything to make our market and our business work, right? So like, typically, if we're able to instantly get access to the employees' information, versus if the systems are not in the cloud and they're like in on-premise systems, it changes. It makes everything much faster and much more flexible, right? This is the first trend. The second trend, that is a trend that, again, exists already, but for our market is fairly new, is open banking, instant transactions, and being able to receive and send money really fast. So when we started in Colombia, it was impossible to send money instantly. Now it's possible or much easier, at least, and that changes everything. Because if you're at the gas station, to take back the example we had, and if you need $5 to put gas in your motorbike, then you can't wait for 2 hours that the transactions arrive. You need the money now, right? And that's something that really, really has changed like how people are interacting with the platform, because before they were like, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna need money, so they need to remember to use it. And now it's like, okay, whenever I need it, I do it, right? So this drastically changes the type of usage, obviously the volumes and the value you're bringing to that, right? This is the second trend. I think a third trend, which is impacting us in one of our latest products, is that you're able to under, understand and categorize very quickly the type of merchants and that you're transacting into, right? Why this is so powerful for us in our last product, the Flex product, what we're doing is that we're telling employees that if they spend their money on food or transport or some categories that the government recognizes as benefits, they don't pay tax on it, income tax, right? And it's very like, imagine if you had to get the list of their transaction and then afterwards make verification, have like matching. It would be impossible, right? To reconcile, to do the reconciliation of that. Right now, because we're able to know the POS like code, which is like an MCC, like a merchant code, you match that with another database, and instantly you can identify payment, identify transactions that are eligible and not eligible, and that basically allows people to, at the end of the day, spend tax free, which is an amazing product that's like 5 years ago would not have been possible. So I would say these would be the three trends that have drastically impacted us.
And so, are there any specific regulatory or compliance challenges that PayFlow anticipates in light of all these evolving industry trends?
Yeah. So I think that it depends. It always depends on like who touches the money in what process, and for us, we heavily rely on partners every time that there are transactions that are involved, right? In order specifically to not fall into regulation and to be faithful to the HR industry, that is basically like there is this wall with, you're providing an HR service to the company, and yes, there is money involved, but you're not the one that is doing that, because if you do that, then you fall under a lot of regulations, and also you're doing two products at the same time, right? So at the end of the day, like, we're lucky to have an ecosystem that is very complete, and with providers that are really good, and so we heavily rely on them in order to basically be like, regulator is always going to look at like who made the transaction and making sure that this one is a licit one, right? If you're a platform, and if you're moving information, you're not moving money, then it's very impact is that there will be tightened regulation for the open banking providers, for people that are asking for licenses, but that will basically not really impact us, but will impact like our providers and our end users. This will make KYC more painful. This will be, but that's kind of on the provider to make sure that kind of what they're doing is legal. You see, for us, like we're serving the company with the benefits. Right? We have to pick your battles.
So keeping all these battles and regulations and trends aside, the last question for you is of a personal kind. What would you be doing in your life if not this?
I'll be teaching math and physics.
Oh,
I really
really?
like I really like numbers, and I really like teaching.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So you would have been a professor somewhere or like a school teacher.
Yeah,
Oh.
probably.
So in another universe, I'm interviewing you for Teacher of the Month, but in this one, I interview you for the Technologist and Marketer of the Month. All right. Well, that was
Sounds
the
good.
last question. Thanks everyone for joining us for this month's episode of Outgrow's Marketer and Technologist of the Month. That was Benoit, who's the co-founder of PayFlow. Thanks for joining us, Benoit.
Thank you very much.
Check out their website for more details, and we'll see you next month once again with another Marketer of the Month.